Tonight, you are about to leave the Earth behind. Far above the oceans, beyond the clouds, beyond the endless blue sky, another world waits silently in the darkness. The Moon, a cold and ancient place that has watched over Earth for billions of years. Every night, humans have looked upward at its glowing surface and wondered what secrets rested there. Ancient civilizations worshipped it, sailors navigated by it, poets wrote about it, and astronauts once stood beneath its silent black sky, staring back at the distant Earth floating alone in space. Tonight, you will slowly drift across enormous lunar craters, frozen mountains, endless fields of silver dust, and dark regions where sunlight has not touched the surface for billions of years. You will explore the quiet mystery of the far side of the Moon. You will discover how the Moon controls Earth's oceans, slows the planet's rotation, and quietly shapes life itself from millions of miles away. You will stand beside ancient footprints still resting untouched in the lunar dust. Because on the Moon, there is no wind, no rain, no flowing rivers to erase the past, only silence. The Moon is strangely peaceful. No forests, no oceans, no sounds at all, just endless gray landscapes stretching beneath the stars. A world frozen in time. And tonight, as the modern world slowly fades away behind you, you will travel gently through the calm and mysterious story of Earth's closest companion. So relax, get comfortable, and let the quiet glow of the Moon carry you softly into sleep, as we explore the most relaxing facts about the Moon. For thousands of years, humans have looked up at the Moon before falling asleep. Long before cities existed, before electricity filled the night with artificial light, the Moon was one of the brightest objects in the sky. Tonight, you drift gently away from Earth now, far above the clouds, far above the oceans, until the planet slowly becomes smaller beneath you. Ahead, the Moon glows softly in the darkness of space. Quiet, ancient, covered in silver-gray dust and enormous craters frozen in time. The Moon formed around 4.5 billion years ago. Scientists believe a massive object once collided with the young Earth during the early formation of the solar system. The impact was enormous, so powerful that huge amounts of rock were blasted into space around the Earth. Over time, gravity slowly pulled that material together, and eventually, the Moon was born. Since then, it has remained beside Earth for billions of years. The Moon is much smaller than Earth. About 4 moons could fit across the width of our planet. And yet, despite its smaller size, the Moon affects Earth in remarkable ways every single day. You continue drifting slowly toward the lunar surface now. The Moon has no oceans, no forests, no weather, no sound, because the Moon has almost no atmosphere at all. Without air, sound cannot travel across its surface. Even giant asteroid impacts happen in complete silence. Astronauts standing on the Moon describe the environment as strangely peaceful. The sky above the Moon always appears completely black, even during daytime. That is because there is no atmosphere to scatter sunlight like on Earth. Stars remain hidden during bright lunar daylight while the darkness of space stretches endlessly overhead. You drift above enormous lunar craters now. Some craters are tiny, others stretch for hundreds of miles across the surface. These giant scars formed after asteroids struck the Moon over billions of years. Because the Moon has no rain, wind, or rivers, these ancient craters remain preserved for incredibly long periods of time. Some visible marks on the Moon are older than many mountains on Earth. The lunar surface itself is covered in fine dust called regolith. This dust formed after countless asteroid impacts shattered rock into tiny sharp particles over billions of years. Astronauts who walked on the Moon said the dust clung stubbornly to their boots and equipment. And unlike Earth's soil, lunar dust has never been shaped by water or life. It remains dry, sharp, and ancient. You continue floating quietly above the Moon now. Far below, giant dark regions spread across the surface. Early astronomers once believed these dark areas were oceans. They called them maria, the Latin word for seas. But they are not filled with water at all. These regions are ancient lava plains created by volcanic eruptions billions of years ago. Long ago, parts of the Moon were volcanically active. Molten rock flowed across the surface and slowly cooled into enormous dark plains still visible today from Earth. You drift toward the edge of one massive crater illuminated softly by sunlight. Temperatures on the moon change dramatically between day and night. During daytime, some regions become hotter than boiling water. But during lunar night, temperatures can fall colder than Antarctica. Without an atmosphere to trap heat, the moon cannot regulate temperature the way Earth does. One full day on the moon lasts about 29 Earth days. That means sunlight shines across some lunar regions continuously for nearly 2 weeks before darkness arrives for another 2 weeks. The moon always keeps one side facing Earth. This happens because it rotates at the same speed that it orbits our planet. As a result, humans on Earth always see the same lunar face in the night sky. The far side of the moon remained completely unseen until spacecraft finally photographed it during the 20th century. You continue drifting peacefully across the silent lunar landscape now. Ancient mountains rise across the horizon. Deep craters cast long shadows through silver dust. And high above the surface, Earth glows softly in the darkness like a blue lantern hanging in space. From the moon, Earth appears far larger in the sky than the moon appears from Earth. Astronauts described seeing Earth from the moon as emotional and unforgettable. A bright living world floating alone against endless darkness. And somehow, despite all the vastness of space, the moon still remains quietly connected to Earth every night. The tides of Earth's oceans rise and fall because of the moon's gravity. Without the moon, Earth itself would be a very different planet. The moon slowly stabilizes Earth's tilt as our planet spins through space. Scientists believe this stability may have helped life survive on Earth over enormous stretches of time. You continue floating gently above the moon now. Calm, silent, peaceful. The modern world feels impossibly far away. Only the quiet glow of the moon remains beside you, drifting endlessly through the darkness of space. The moon continues drifting silently around Earth. Every night, it rises above oceans, mountains, forests, and cities exactly as it has for billions of years. Ancient humans watched it without understanding what it truly was. Some believed it was a god. Others thought mysterious creatures lived upon its glowing surface. But tonight, you continue drifting closer toward the real moon itself. Quiet, cold, ancient beyond imagination, you move slowly above the lunar surface now. Below you, enormous craters stretch across endless gray plains illuminated softly by sunlight. The moon may appear smooth from Earth, but up close, its surface is rugged and scarred from billions of years of impacts. Some lunar craters are tiny like footprints in dust. Others are so enormous they could contain entire cities. One of the largest visible impact craters on the moon is called the South Pole Aitken Basin. It stretches over 1,500 miles across the lunar surface, large enough to cover huge portions of countries on Earth. Scientists believe this giant basin formed after an enormous asteroid struck the moon billions of years ago during the early solar system. You continue floating peacefully above the ancient terrain now. Long shadows stretch across deep craters beneath the low sunlight. Because the moon has almost no atmosphere, shadows there appear extremely dark and sharp. There is no air to soften the light. No clouds. No wind. Only silence and stone. The moon experiences frequent asteroid impacts even today. Tiny meteoroids regularly strike its surface because there is no atmosphere to burn them away before impact like on Earth. Over billions of years, these collisions slowly covered the moon in fine gray dust. Astronauts who visited the moon said the dust felt soft but strangely sharp at the same time. Without water or weather to smooth the particles, lunar dust remains rough and jagged under a microscope. You drift farther toward the horizon now. The surface appears almost endless. Gray plains, ancient mountains, deep valleys frozen in time. Some regions near the lunar poles remain in permanent darkness. Because of the angle of sunlight, parts of certain craters have not seen direct sunlight for billions of years. These frozen shadow regions are among the coldest places in the solar system. Scientists believe water ice may still exist hidden inside them. Tiny frozen remnants preserved silently in eternal darkness. You continue drifting slowly above one enormous crater now. The walls rise high like ancient cliffs surrounding a silent valley of shadow below. Temperatures inside some permanently dark lunar craters can drop below -200 degrees Celsius. Colder than Pluto in certain conditions. The moon may seem lifeless, but it still contains mysteries scientists continue studying even today. Far above the surface, Earth glows brightly against the black sky. From the moon, Earth never rises or sets if viewed from the near side. Instead, it hangs almost motionless above the horizon while slowly changing phases. Astronauts describe Earth from the moon as breathtaking. A bright blue world glowing with clouds, oceans, and life surrounded by endless darkness. You continue drifting across the lunar plains now. Ahead lies one of the most famous locations in human history, the Apollo 11 landing site. In July of 1969, human beings landed on the moon for the very first time. Astronauts Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin descended toward the surface aboard a small spacecraft called Eagle. As they approached the moon, computer alarms suddenly began sounding inside the cabin. Fuel levels dropped dangerously low, but moments later, the spacecraft landed safely. Neil Armstrong stepped onto the lunar surface and spoke words now remembered across the world. He described the moment as, "one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind." The footprints left by astronauts during the Apollo missions still remain on the moon today. Because there is no wind or rain there, those tracks may survive for millions of years. Human history itself became frozen into the lunar dust. You drift quietly across the landing site now. The surface remains silent exactly as it did during the first moon landing decades ago. Astronaut footprints stretch softly across the dust beneath harsh sunlight and black skies. Nearby, old scientific instruments still rest exactly where they were placed. The moon preserves moments in time almost perfectly. You continue floating farther into the darkness now. The far side of the moon slowly comes into view ahead. A region humans never saw directly until spacecraft finally photographed it in the 20th century. Contrary to popular belief, the far side is not permanently dark. It receives sunlight just like the near side. But because the moon always keeps the same face toward Earth, humans could never see the far side without leaving the planet. The far side looks very different from the familiar moon seen from Earth. It contains far fewer dark lava plains and many more craters. A rougher and more heavily scarred landscape hidden for billions of years. You continue drifting peacefully above this silent hidden world now. No sounds exist here, no movement, only ancient stone beneath endless stars. And somewhere far behind you, Earth continues glowing softly across the darkness of space. While the moon carries you gently deeper into silence and sleep. The moon has followed Earth through the darkness of space for billions of years. Silent, ancient, always watching from above the night sky. Tonight, you continue drifting farther across its endless surface now. Below you, enormous craters stretch toward the horizon beneath deep black skies filled with stars. The lunar landscape feels frozen in time. Nothing moves here. No wind crosses the ground. No rain falls from the sky. Only dust, rock, and silence. You float slowly toward the far side of the moon now. For most of human history, nobody had ever seen this hidden region. Because the moon rotates at the same speed that it orbits Earth, the same lunar face always points toward our planet. The far side remained mysterious for thousands of years. Ancient humans could only imagine what existed there. Some believed hidden oceans covered the unseen side. Others imagined strange civilizations or giant mountains hidden beyond view. But in 1959, a Soviet spacecraft called Lunar 3 became the first mission to photograph the far side of the moon. The images revealed a landscape completely different from the familiar moon visible from Earth. The far side contained far more craters and far fewer dark lava plains. A rougher and more ancient world hidden in silence for billions of years. You continue drifting peacefully across this hidden lunar landscape now. Huge impact craters overlap one another across endless gray terrain. Some mountains rise thousands of feet high near the horizon. The surface appears untouched, ancient, like another world completely separated from modern civilization. The moon itself is actually moving slowly away from Earth every year. about 3.8 centimeters annually, roughly the same speed that human fingernails grow. This happens because of gravitational interactions between Earth and the Moon. Billions of years ago, the Moon appeared much larger in Earth's sky than it does today. And Earth itself rotated much faster. At that time, a single day on Earth lasted only a few hours. The Moon slowly changed that. Its gravity affects Earth constantly. The tides of Earth's oceans rise and fall because of the Moon's gravitational pull. As ocean tides move across the planet, tiny amounts of Earth's rotational energy transfer outward over enormous stretches of time. This gradually slows Earth's rotation while pushing the Moon slightly farther away. The Moon quietly shapes Earth every single day. Without it, life on our planet may have evolved very differently. You continue floating gently above the lunar surface now. Ahead lies one of the strangest regions on the Moon, a giant dark lava plain called Oceanus Procellarum, the ocean of storms. Despite its dramatic name, no water exists there at all. Long ago, ancient volcanic eruptions flooded this region with molten lava that slowly cooled into dark basalt rock. From Earth, these giant lava plains form the dark patterns visible across the Moon's surface. Early astronomers mistook them for oceans because they appeared smoother and darker than surrounding terrain. The Moon was volcanically active billions of years ago. Huge eruptions once reshaped portions of its surface. But today, the Moon is geologically quiet, cold inside, silent. Its volcanic age ended long ago. You drift slowly across the edge of a massive crater now. The sunlight creates long shadows stretching across the dust. Temperatures near the bright lunar surface become extremely hot during daytime. But only a short distance away inside dark shadow regions, temperatures plunge into deep freezing cold. The Moon experiences some of the most extreme temperature changes in the solar system. Astronauts during the Apollo missions had to wear heavily insulated suits to survive the harsh environment. Even small mistakes could become dangerous very quickly. Without an atmosphere, there is no protection from solar radiation or tiny space debris traveling at incredible speeds. And yet, despite its harsh conditions, humans continue planning to return. Scientists hope future missions may build permanent lunar bases someday. Some believe frozen water hidden near the poles could support future astronauts living on the Moon. The Moon may eventually become humanity's first stepping stone deeper into space. You continue drifting quietly across the silent landscape now. Far away, Earth glows softly above the horizon like a giant blue lantern hanging in darkness. Clouds swirl slowly across oceans and continents. From the Moon, Earth appears alive, bright, fragile, small against the endless universe surrounding it. Astronauts who saw Earth from the Moon often described feeling changed afterward. Many spoke about how peaceful and delicate the planet looked from space. No borders, no cities visible, only one glowing world floating alone in darkness. You continue floating peacefully beneath the black lunar sky now. The stars above never twinkle here. Without atmosphere, they shine with perfect stillness. The silence feels deeper than anything on Earth. And slowly, as the Moon drifts endlessly through space beside our planet, the quiet glow of the lunar world carries you gently farther into calm and sleep. The Moon continues traveling silently through space beside the Earth. Every night, it rises above oceans, forests, deserts, mountains, and sleeping cities exactly as it has for billions of years. And tonight, you continue drifting deeper across its ancient surface. Below you, silver-gray plains stretch endlessly beneath a black sky filled with motionless stars. The lunar world feels calm beyond words. No wind moves across the dust. No rivers flow through valleys. No sounds exist at all. Only silence. You float slowly above enormous lunar mountains now. Some rise higher than the tallest peaks on Earth. One giant mountain near the Moon's south pole reaches heights over 20,000 feet. The Moon may appear smooth from Earth, but much of its surface is rugged and dramatic when seen up close. Ancient cliffs cast long shadows across frozen valleys. Huge impact craters overlap one another across the landscape. And everywhere, fine gray dust covers the ground like powdery snow. You continue drifting peacefully above the surface now. Ahead lies a strange region illuminated softly by sunlight. A giant winding valley known as Hadley Rill. Scientists believe this enormous channel formed billions of years ago when rivers of molten lava once flowed across the moon. Long ago, the lunar surface looked very different from today. Volcanoes erupted across parts of the moon while lava spread slowly through giant basins. But unlike Earth, the moon eventually cooled and became geologically quiet. Its volcanic fires faded billions of years ago. Now the ancient lava plains remain frozen beneath the stars forever. You continue floating quietly through the lunar night now. One of the strangest things about the moon is how bright sunlight appears there. Without atmosphere to soften the light, the contrast becomes extreme. Sunlit areas glow intensely bright. Shadows become completely black. Astronauts during the Apollo missions described the lighting as unusual and difficult to judge. Distances felt strange. Objects seemed closer than they truly were because there was no atmosphere creating depth or haze. The moon can feel almost dreamlike. Ancient, empty, unreal. You drift slowly toward another famous lunar location now. The Sea of Tranquility, a dark lava plain where Apollo 11 landed in 1969. Even today, the descent stage of the lunar module still rests there silently on the surface. Nearby, astronaut footprints remain untouched after decades. No wind exists to erase them. No rain washes them away. The moon preserves history and stillness. Some scientists believe those footprints may survive for millions of years. You continue floating above the silent landing site now. The surface remains exactly as astronauts left it. Old scientific instruments still stand in the dust beneath harsh sunlight and endless black skies. The American flags planted during Apollo missions may now appear faded white after years of solar radiation exposure. But they still remain standing in silence. The moon keeps memories frozen in time. Far above the horizon, Earth glows softly once more. Blue oceans swirl beneath white clouds. Lightning flashes faintly across distant storms. From the moon, Earth appears alive in a way the lunar world never could. Warm, bright, filled with movement and weather and sound. Astronauts often said seeing Earth from the moon changed the way they viewed humanity forever. Our entire civilization appeared small and fragile against the darkness of space. One tiny world surrounded by endless silence. You continue drifting toward the lunar poles now. These regions interest scientists greatly because some craters near the poles may contain frozen water ice hidden inside permanent darkness. Future astronauts could someday use this ice for drinking water, oxygen, and even rocket fuel. Many space agencies hope humans may eventually build permanent lunar bases in these regions. Small outposts resting quietly beneath the stars. The moon could become humanity's gateway deeper into the solar system. A place where future explorers begin journeys toward Mars and beyond. And yet, despite all human plans for the future, the moon itself remains peaceful and unchanged. Ancient dust stretches endlessly across silent plains. Craters preserve scars from the earliest days of the solar system. The same moon that ancient humans watched thousands of years ago still drifts beside Earth tonight. Calm, quiet, endlessly patient. You continue floating gently across the lunar horizon now. The sunlight slowly fades behind distant mountains. Darkness spreads across the silver-gray landscape. Stars brighten overhead in perfect stillness. And somewhere far behind you, Earth continues turning beneath clouds and oceans while the moon carries you softly deeper into silence and sleep. The moon has no wind, no rain, no forests moving beneath the sky. And yet, for billions of years, it has remained one of the most important objects humans have ever looked upon. Tonight, you continue drifting quietly across its silent surface. Far below, ancient craters stretch endlessly across gray plains glowing softly beneath sunlight. The landscape feels frozen in time, untouched, peaceful beyond imagination. You float slowly toward the edge of the lunar horizon now. Ahead, the darkness of space stretches endlessly in every direction. And above the moon, Earth glows softly like a giant blue lantern hanging in the black sky. From the lunar surface, Earth appears almost 4 times larger than the moon appears from Earth. Clouds swirl slowly above bright oceans and continents. Lightning flashes faintly inside distant storms. Astronauts who visited the moon often said Earth looked fragile from space. Small, beautiful, alone in the darkness, you continued drifting across the lunar plains now. The moon's gravity is much weaker than Earth's. If you stood there, your body would weigh only about 1/6 of its normal weight. Astronauts during the Apollo missions moved carefully across the surface using slow bouncing steps because walking normally felt difficult in the lower gravity. Videos from the moon often appear dreamlike because of these unusual movements. Slow jumps, soft landings, long floating steps across endless dust. You continue floating toward a massive crater illuminated softly by sunlight. Some lunar craters contain peaks rising from their centers. These central mountains formed after giant asteroid impacts struck the moon billions of years ago. The collision force was so powerful that parts of the lunar surface rebounded upward like water splashing after a stone falls into a lake. Many craters visible on the moon today formed during a violent period known as the Late Heavy Bombardment. During this ancient era, countless asteroids struck planets and moons across the young solar system. The moon became covered in scars that still remain visible billions of years later. Earth experienced similar impacts long ago, but weather and geology slowly erased most evidence over time. The moon preserved its ancient history far more clearly. You continue drifting peacefully across the lunar night now. Ahead lies one of the coldest known places in the solar system. A permanently shadowed crater near the moon's south pole. Sunlight has not reached parts of this crater floor for billions of years. Temperatures there remain colder than many regions of deep space. Scientists believe frozen water may survive hidden within these dark regions. Tiny crystals of ice resting silently beneath endless darkness. Future astronauts may someday collect this ice to support permanent lunar settlements. Many space agencies hope humans will eventually return to the moon within the coming years. New missions are already being planned. Future astronauts may build habitats protected beneath thick lunar soil. Some scientists even imagine giant underground lunar bases one day connected through tunnels beneath the surface. The moon may become humanity's first permanent home beyond Earth. You continue floating quietly across the ancient world now. The silence here feels endless. Without atmosphere, there are no echoes. No distant animal sounds. No flowing rivers or wind through trees. Only your own thoughts moving through the darkness. Astronauts describe the moon as both beautiful and strangely lonely. A world completely separated from life. And yet, somehow peaceful at the same time. Far away near the horizon, sunlight slowly begins touching the tops of distant lunar mountains. The moon experiences very long days and nights because it rotates slowly. One lunar sunrise can last for hours as sunlight gradually spreads across the surface. Shadows move slowly over craters and valleys beneath the black sky. Everything on the moon feels patient, slow, ancient. You continue drifting gently above a quiet plain now. The dust below remains exactly where it settled millions of years ago. Even tiny footprints can survive for enormous stretches of time here. The moon preserves moments almost perfectly. Some scientists believe the surface may still contain traces left behind by ancient meteorites from Earth itself. Tiny fragments blasted into space after impacts long ago. In a strange way, pieces of Earth may have rested quietly on the moon for billions of years. You continue floating beneath the endless stars now. The modern world feels impossibly distant. No cities exist here. No noise. No crowded streets glowing with artificial lights. Only silence stretching endlessly across ancient stone beneath the universe above. And slowly, as the moon continues orbiting peacefully around Earth, the quiet silver world carries you deeper into calm, deeper into stillness, and gently towards sleep. The moon continues drifting silently around Earth through the darkness of space. Ancient, quiet, always watching over the planet below. Tonight, you continue floating gently across its endless silver-gray surface. Far below, enormous craters stretch toward the horizon beneath a sky completely black and filled with motionless stars. The lunar world feels peaceful beyond imagination. No weather changes the landscape here. No wind moves across the dust. No rivers carve through valleys. Everything remains still for millions of years at a time. You drift slowly toward one of the moon's most mysterious regions now. The lunar South Pole. Unlike most parts of the moon, some areas near the poles receive very little sunlight. Deep craters there remain hidden in permanent darkness. Scientists call these places cold traps. Temperatures inside some of these craters are so low that frozen water may survive there for billions of years. Tiny crystals of ancient ice resting silently beneath eternal shadow. The discovery of water on the moon changed how scientists viewed the lunar world forever. For many years, people believed the moon was completely dry. But modern spacecraft detected signs of frozen water hidden near the poles. This discovery made future lunar exploration far more realistic. Water could support astronauts living on the moon someday. It could provide drinking water, breathable oxygen, and even hydrogen fuel for rockets traveling deeper into space. You continue drifting peacefully above the polar landscape now. The sunlight barely touches distant crater rims while darkness fills the valleys below. Some mountains near the poles receive sunlight almost continuously because of the moon's slow rotation and the angle of the sun. Scientists sometimes call these places peaks of eternal light. Nearby, deep shadow regions remain among the coldest known places in the solar system. The contrast between light and darkness on the moon feels dramatic and surreal. You continue floating farther across the silent surface now. Ahead, giant metallic structures begin appearing against the horizon. Future lunar bases imagined by scientists and engineers. Humanity hopes to return to the moon again within the coming years. Unlike the Apollo missions, future astronauts may stay for weeks or even months at a time. Some space agencies plan to build permanent lunar habitats protected beneath thick layers of lunar soil. The moon's surface receives dangerous radiation from space because there is almost no atmosphere there. Underground shelters or lava tubes may someday protect astronauts from this harsh environment. Long ago, volcanic activity created enormous tunnels beneath parts of the moon. Scientists believe some of these ancient lava tubes could be large enough to contain entire cities. Future lunar colonies may someday exist hidden beneath the surface. You continue drifting quietly across the lunar landscape now. The thought feels strange and peaceful at the same time. Humans living beneath the moon's silent mountains while Earth glows softly above the horizon. Gardens growing beneath artificial lights. Astronauts walking slowly through low-gravity tunnels. Small human communities resting quietly beneath endless stars. The moon may become humanity's first permanent world beyond Earth. And yet, despite all these future possibilities, the moon itself remains ancient and calm. The same lunar surface visible tonight existed before human civilization began, before pyramids rose in Egypt, before the first cities formed beside rivers, even before many modern animals evolved on Earth. The moon has watched Earth through nearly all of human history. You continue floating gently above the surface now. Far away, Earth glows brighter against the darkness. Clouds move slowly above blue oceans. Storm systems swirl across continents. From the moon, the Earth never looks noisy or crowded. It appears calm, fragile, beautiful against the blackness of space. Astronauts often describe feeling deeply emotional while looking back at Earth from the moon. Every person who had ever lived existed on that small glowing world suspended in darkness. Every city, every ocean, every forest, every human story, all contained on one distant planet. You continue drifting across the quiet lunar plains now. The stars above remain perfectly still. Without atmosphere, they never twinkle. The silence feels deeper than anywhere on Earth. A silence so complete it almost seems unreal. And slowly, as the moon continues its endless orbit around our planet, the ancient silver world carries you gently farther from the modern world, deeper into calm, deeper into quiet thought, and softly towards sleep beneath the endless stars. For billions of years, the moon has remained beside Earth in silence. Ancient, unmoving, patient beyond imagination. Tonight, you continue drifting gently across its endless surface beneath the stars. Far below, silver-gray plains stretch endlessly toward the horizon while giant craters sleep beneath deep shadows. The moon feels timeless, like a world completely untouched by the modern age. You float slowly above the lunar surface now. Ahead, sunlight rises softly across distant mountains. Because the moon rotates very slowly, sunrise there happens gradually over many hours. Long shadows move gently across the dust while ancient cliffs glow beneath pale golden light. Everything feels calm, slow, peaceful. You continue drifting toward a region filled with giant boulders scattered across the surface. Many of these rocks have rested in exactly the same position for millions of years. Without wind or water, almost nothing changes quickly on the moon. Even tiny footprints remain preserved for enormous stretches of time. The Apollo astronaut tracks may survive for millions of years unless future impacts disturb them. The moon protects memories and silence. You continue floating peacefully now. The moon's gravity not only affects Earth's tides, it also slowly stabilizes Earth itself. Without the moon, our planet's tilt might shift dramatically over long periods of time. Scientists believe the moon may have helped create a more stable climate on Earth over billions of years. Some researchers even think complex life may have evolved differently without it. The moon quietly shaped the history of life from far away in space. You drift farther above the horizon now. Ahead lies a breathtaking sight. Earthrise. As astronauts orbited the moon during the Apollo missions, they witnessed Earth slowly rising above the lunar horizon for the very first time. A glowing blue world appearing above endless gray silence. The famous Earthrise photograph taken during Apollo 8 became one of the most important images in human history. For the first time, humanity saw its entire world from deep space. Small, beautiful, fragile against the darkness of the universe. You continue floating quietly while Earth glows in the distance. Clouds swirl across bright oceans beneath sunlight. The entire history of humanity exists there on that tiny planet. Every city, every forest, every memory, all suspended quietly in space. The moon itself has inspired human imagination for thousands of years. Ancient civilizations created myths and stories about its glowing surface. Some cultures believed gods lived there. Others imagined giant oceans or hidden civilizations beneath the silver light. Even today, the moon still feels mysterious when it rises silently into the night sky. You continue drifting across a dark lunar plain now. The stars above appear unbelievably clear without atmosphere blocking the view. Astronauts described space from the moon as deeper and darker than anything visible from Earth. The silence there feels absolute. No wind, no distant sounds, only endless stillness stretching across the surface of another world. Future astronauts may someday return to this quiet place permanently. Scientists hope humans could build observatories on the far side of the moon where radio silence is nearly perfect. Without Earth's atmosphere or artificial signals interfering, giant telescopes there could study the universe more clearly than ever before. The moon may someday help humanity explore deeper into space than ever imagined. And yet, despite all future technology, the moon itself remains unchanged. Ancient craters continue resting beneath the stars exactly as they have for billions of years. The same moon visible above ancient oceans still shines tonight above modern cities filled with lights and noise. You continue floating gently above the lunar world now. The modern Earth feels very far away. Only quiet gray landscapes remain beneath endless stars. The silence becomes softer, calmer, like the universe itself slowly growing still around you. Far away, Earth glows softly against the darkness while the moon continues its endless orbit through space. Ancient, silent, peaceful forever. And slowly, as the stars drift quietly above the lunar horizon, the calm silver light of the moon carries you gently deeper into rest, deeper into stillness, and softly towards sleep.